Alright. Seems like we're good right now. Waiting for Shoot to get here for the finals. But welcome everybody. This is the finals for the April Discord League. So we've been running the bracket throughout the course of the month of May, and we culminate on the last day of the month here with the finals between Akodo Ginawa and Chutereve. So Lion versus Crane action for you. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know there's some crazy stuff going on in the world right now, either with the pandemic or the riots or whatever's going on for you. Thank you for being here. If you are here, then let's take a moment to enjoy some L5R together instead of worrying too much about what's going on the outside. Let me go ahead and take a look at the deck list right now while we're waiting for Shoot to get here. So we'll take a look at Ginawa's first, and I like to call this matchup Lion being Crane and Crane being Lion. So this is Lion on Crane Splash here, and the object of this deck, of course, as you can see, is playing a bunch of dueling type stuff. So we have the 2x duelist training, we have the 3x True Strike Genjutsu, and you have your formal invitation to move your character in and out, as well as even the odds, and in service to my lord as your other stand. Soul Beyond Reproach here also, because we're in the air roll, and just getting that extra value from the Soul Beyond Reproach seems pretty good. 1x Echoes as well from the air roll. Meanwhile, on the Dynasty side, some things of note here is that we have some unusual representatives. We don't see these guys too much. We see Mitsuko here. So Mitsuko very useful in this type of deck because of her move-in effect. She also has a nice 4-base military and is a commander too. And also we have Matsuko, so the lesser seen champion in these trying times. Suko, of course, with her pretty good stats, but mainly it's her ability that you want to be using. Just lets you break as long as you're more honorable during a conflict and you're just winning. You don't have to be breaking. As long as you're winning, you can use the reaction to break the province instead. And so the 3x Proving Grounds ties into the duels in this deck. We have for duels, we have Policy Debate, Defend Your Honor, the True Strike Genjutsus, and the Duelist Training. So a decent number of duels to trigger these Proving Grounds to draw some cards. Meanwhile, for Chutereve, who are in the final? Oh, let me update the stream info. I always forget to do this, so thank you for reminding me. So the L5R Discord, April Discord League. So this is Akodo Ginawa on Lion versus Chutereve. Okay, so there you go. All right, so let's go back to Shoot's deck. This is called Pet Deck, and it is, as I said, it's Crane being Lion. So we are on the Lion Splash here, and Seeker of Fire with the Magistrate Station. So looks like the goal of this deck is to be aggressive and to use restands to pressure your opponent. Right. So we have mostly cheap guys here. The most expensive purchases are the Cunning Negotiator and the Kuanon, but the rest is all pretty cheap dudes. The Whisperer, the Samurai, the Rishma, Netsu, Dazzling Duelist. All these bodies can get pretty large with little investment. Meanwhile, from the Lion Splash, we have 3 Take-Up Command, which is pretty good. Lets you restand some of these, the cheaper guys. And we have a Legion of 1 for those extra military pumps on the solo conflicts. And also a 1x All-Out Assault, which is pretty spicy. All-Out Assault is really good with restands because it forces your opponents to commit to 1 attack, and then you can use your restands afterwards to to really capitalize on the second attack when nobody's there anymore. Also for Shoot, we have some extra cards here like Stay Your Hand, which can be useful in this dueling type of, against this dueling type deck. Also, to Highlight the Flaws, which is a card we haven't seen very often. This allows you, in the fire roll, to go ahead and cancel province-triggered abilities, which there are a couple that are kind of nasty for Ginawa. 1x Noble Sacrifice could also come into play here as well, with no Finger Jades on the other side, but we do see Prepare for War and Soul Beyond Reproach. So, let me tell them that they're ready. So we are going to go ahead and get started here. Again, guys, for those of you tuning in, if you have not hit refresh already, this is the April Discord League Grand Finals featuring Akodo, Ginawa, and Chutereve. Alright, so Shoot's gonna be going first here, which is pretty good for this type of deck. You know, again, you want to get off to a pretty good start against these tower-style Lion decks, right? It takes a little while for you to build up the Fate and you know, the cards to you know, to really be able to stall, I guess, like block out your opponent from doing stuff. That is always the weakness of the tower style line. Is, you know, if you cannot get going soon enough, then a lot of times people are just gonna be able to go underneath you and just break stuff. So opening flops here, we see a Doji Whisper bought for Shoot. Meanwhile, he also has a Dazzling Duelist and a Brash Samurai. We see the Brash Samurai bought on 2 here. No Assassination for Ginawa. Meanwhile, it's just the Motso on 2. That leaves 3 Fate open with the Passing Fate for Ginawa. So probably going to see some nice little attachments come down here. Probably maybe like a True Strike Kenjutsu or a Duelist Training to really get things going here and slow Shoot's aggression down. Favorable ground on each side. The rest of the stuff in Ginawa's row is not going to matter terribly too much right now. I don't think we're going to see most of this stuff bought. The favorable ground is nice, but we do see a Prodigy and a Mitsuko and a Zentaro, which are not going to really be particularly useful currently. So Way of the Crane comes out on the Doji Whisper. That turns on Voice of Honor for Shoot. Formal Invitation, which dropped on Motso, which will allow him to slide into some political conflicts. So I am actually expecting to see you know, these type of effects, like the Fan of Command, and probably a duel is going to come down as well. Yeah, right now, do we know who these people are IRL? Yes. So Chutereve's name is Nicolas Simon Pietri. He is from France. You know, a long-running Crane player, Crane loyalist, and one of the server admins for the L5R Discord. And Ginawa is Arik Logsdon from Seattle. He is, you know, a solid line player. Played line in the old game as well. I believe he got Hatamoto this past Worlds at Worlds on day 1. So those are his claims to fame. And so yeah, so policy debate started, and the 1x stay your hand in Shoot's hand to go ahead and stop that policy debate, which is pretty good. Court Games now comes out on Motso. We could see a Prepare for War or a Soul Beyond Reproach here. Both are pretty good, and I have to imagine that if one is played, then Shoot's going to go ahead and cancel that. So the attack here, Political Void. Here's the Soul Beyond Reproach. And there's the Voice of Honor to go ahead and cancel it. So, nice start here from Shoot. Definitely has the aggression going for him right now. I believe Arik's deck is not running Call to War. I don't think Call to War... no, it would have been out by now. Let me check real quick. Yeah, no Call to War. So no... Oops, sorry. Wrong deck. Yeah. Oh, no, he has 3 Call to War. Okay. My bad. And here's an Ornate Fan coming out of the Doji Whisperer. With the favorable ground there, it actually prevents the break. Here's the reserves being dropped at home, so that'll allow Arik to go ahead and do an in-service afterwards, or potentially just move out if things get too dicey. And Shoot's going to go ahead and pass. He cannot break here, so maybe playing the Phantom wasn't super necessary. Given that he's not breaking because of that favorable ground on the province. But this does prevent Arik from using the favorable ground here. Choosing to give Ginawa 1 honor, and so a Fate's going to come out on the reservist. Call to War being played early here. We see Motsa moving the Brash Samurai, which would have given the Shoot the break, but he's opting to make sure that he has a second conflict here, and he's going to go ahead and favorable ground the Brash Samurai out. So no break right now. Void Ring will be able to go off here, and with the Call to War burned already, we might see Shoot actually go ahead and use the Void Ring on the Motsa. In a lot of situations, you see a character with 1 Fate and you're tempted to just go ahead and void that character. But I think it's really more important to put pressure on the tower itself, especially when you see one of the saves get burned already. So we do see the Void Ring go off, and it goes off on the reservist, which actually is not. I mean, so I'm talking about this right now, and it's not too terrible because what this does also is removes the Chud for your opponent, right? And so in a deck that uses In Service to My Lord, one of the quote-unquote restrictions is you need to have these non-unique characters available for you to go ahead and bow to restain your dudes. In this particular situation, right, like if you have to keep on investing into these dudes, that's less Fate for you to use on your attachments, and makes it a little bit more difficult for you to get your engine going. And as you can see right now, Ginawa's sitting on 0 Fate, so no more Fate left to play any of the expensive attachments here. We do see the defense from the reservist here, and a second Call to War now is played on this reservist. I'm not sure I like that a ton, just because of, again, that's 2 saves that you're already using that could have been used on your tower, and you might need that later on. Granted, you've only invested 1 extra Fate onto the tower with just the 1 Phantom command, so I guess losing it at this point is not terrible. And here's a noble sacrifice, actually, to go ahead and kill this Motso. So nice stuff from Shoot there. Was able to go ahead and kind of bait that out. I guess he waited for Arik to completely run out of cards. And knowing that there was no saving the Motso left, that tower is dead. So the 1x in Shoot's deck definitely coming in handy here. So the 1x Noble Sacrifice, the 1x Stay Your Hand, have kept Shoot pretty solidly ahead here. And yeah, they're very fortunate because there's a Motso coming out here now too. 2 Formal Invitations down and a Phantom command in the process. Chat saying, LOLGG. I wouldn't count it out yet. It's literally only turn 1, right? So there's definitely still time for a comeback here. But that is definitely very, very, very rough for Arik. He also burned the In Service to My Lord, and since he played it, it went to the bottom of his deck. So he's not going to be in his discard or anything like that. 2 Call to Wars down, and a Phantom command is definitely very painful though. And so this turn we do see a Dazzling Duelist bot here on 2. Meanwhile, a second Motso comes out So it was definitely very important that he was able to go ahead and kill that Mozo, because he would have been able to save it this turn by just putting the dupe on it. So this Mozo a little bit less threatening, although it's definitely going to be on here because of how many cards were spent in the last turn. However, what we could see though is a Kakita Dojo duel to go ahead and blank the Mozo. Ginawa's going to go ahead and pass. Attacking into the tea house, attacking into this Kakita Dojo definitely doesn't seem like the best of ideas. And so here's Shu going for a water conflict, going to go to grab this Fate and try to bow out this reservist. Water Ring, not super important to use on yourself here in a deck that has several stands, right? So you can always take up command yourself, you can test on yourself. Here's the Art of War. And so if this breaks, this will actually help. This will help Ginawa make up the card deficit. We're going to see double defense though, and probably first action drag in the Dazzling Duelist here. Oh, okay. Maybe reconsidering the defense here. Unselects both characters. And yeah, so we're going to see no defense here, and we'll have even the odds come into play here. Go ahead and move Mozo in as the first action. That turns off the Voice of Honor. Also gives Ginawa a pretty solid defender here, and there's a policy debate coming down onto the Mozo, onto the Brash Samurai. No Stay Your Hand this time, and no Voice of Honor available. So curious to see actually if Shoot goes ahead and bids to win this. It is 5-. It was 5-3, and we see Ginawa actually go ahead and bid to win. So that's smart on his part. And now we can see Shoot's hand. We have a Bonsai, Fine Katana. For Shame, highlight the flaws. 3x take up commands, and Away of the Crane. So this is pretty solid here. I think if Arik wants to stop the break, he goes ahead and take the. You probably want to go ahead and take that Bonsai. I think Shoot's definitely going to be able to. I think Ginawa is actually going to be able to defend this conflict pretty well here. It is 5-5 with the favor. And Force Shame was the card that was chosen to be discarded from the policy debate. 4 cards left in Ginawa's hands, although of course he just drew a card from the Proving Grounds, and here's a Bonsai coming out on the Brash Samurai. Let's see if we get a Defend Your Honor here. Looks like Ark's thinking about it, and so maybe in this situation, Shoot might have wanted to consider playing the Fine Katana first. The Bonsai does go off here. Now, if you're Ginawa, I think that you are actually probably okay with this breaking, although you do know that your opponent has this highlight the flaws, and so that'll actually prevent you from drawing cards. So gonna go ahead and pull in the Mozo here, the Steward-in-Law. Shoot's gonna go ahead and pass. This leaves the Dazzling Duelist up, and with the take-up commands, it would be able to drag in this Brash Samurai here. The Water Ring's gonna be able to bow out the reservers too. All right, how does the card highlight the flaws actually work? It just says, let's see. It says when the effects of a province's triggered abilities would initiate cancel those effects. So yeah, you basically it's like Pathfinder's Blade. And here is a True Strike Genjutsu dropped onto the Motso, but then Tea House used to go ahead and bounce it back after Ginawa dragged the Steward of Law into the conflict to give Shoot a courtier in the conflict to use the Esteemed Tea House. And now we're going to see the highlight the flaws played here to go ahead and cancel the effect of Art of War. Ginawa also uncertain of how highlight the flaws works. It just says triggered ability, right? So triggered means interrupt, action, reaction, whatever the case. Bad Pathfinder's Blade? Sure. That's, I mean, yes, Pathfinder's Blade is a very good card, right? And so, any other version of the card that's slightly weaker is definitely going to be a bad version of it. Alright, definitely getting a little blindsided here by this deck. And so we know 3 of the cards in his hand right now, or sorry, we know 1 of the cards in his hand and 3 other cards that are mysterious to us. We know that he does have the True Strike Genjutsu, and that could be a bit of a wall for Shoot. 2 Fate left in hand as well. Players chatting about highlight the flaws. Definitely a card that you don't see very often just because Crane isn't typically on the fire roll. Most of the time, most Cranes that you see nowadays are probably running like a Seeker of Void type deck or a Keeper of Air with like the Scorpion Splash. And so you don't see fire too often, but you know, this is definitely one of those situations where the fire roll is coming in handy for Shoot. And so Ginawa, with no characters to initiate a conflict, is going to have to go ahead and pass. And now we have a political conflict now coming out. Hits Frostbitten Crossing. We know that Shoot has a Way of the Crane in hand. He's going to be able to honor up here and break this Frostbitten Crossing. The Mabia saying it's the poor man's Return from Shadows. Yeah, Return from Shadows is actually a card that has been doing a lot better than I expected it to. And so actually, okay, we do see Auric able to drop down a Ikoma Reservist here, but I think that the Reservist is just going to get bowed by the Kakita Dojo. Yeah, and so here is the Dojo Duel. So, effectively, all that this Reservist did is prevent the unopposed, but with your honor as intact as it is currently, not really going to make too big of a difference here. So the Reservist gets bowed, and no Fate left for Ginawa. We know 2 cards remain that we don't know. But Shoot now has broken 3 provinces, still has a pretty sizable board. If Ginawa was going for a drop the Reservist and then Service to My Lord play, that was denied by the Kakita Dojo. Ginawa saying, my deck works, I promise. Look, we've seen the deck do pretty good things throughout the course of this Discord League Cup. Definitely not over yet by any means, although hand sizes being what they are, does make it fairly difficult for Shoot to get through here, although the Tea House definitely helps a lot. So the Tea House is good, the Mystic is good. Tea House is going to keep this True Strike Genjutsu off of the Matsusuko, which is really the biggest threat here, because Suko, with her base stat of 5, is going to be able to bow most of these characters that are showing up here. So Shoot now just opting to go ahead and play out the cards that he has. Double 5-bit on both sides, no surprise. Ginawa really needs cards here to try to make up this deficit. And so the Frostbitten Crossings in the row, I would have to expect that we are going to see, well, it can't be Rebels, so this is probably Dishonorable Assault here on the box. Or no, it's not Dishonorable Assault either because he's on Forge. So maybe this is Forge. Two options left are Void / Earth, and Fire. Shameful Display under Stronghold. I'm gonna take a quick peek at the deck list real quick while they're passing through the conflict phase. Yeah, Shameful Display and Forge. So this is probably, I would have to imagine this is probably Forge, although he might have put Shameful under the box just for the Crane matchup. Shoot first player here going in. This is gonna be a political attack here with the Doji Whisperer. Of course, with take-up command available, you can go ahead and pull in Narishma if he needs. Should maybe consider taking the Steward of Law as well. Opting not to, going for a political void attack here. It is Forge, okay. So this will let you know fetch an attachment, although there are two means of attachment control here showing up on the board. Shoot saying he was expecting Shameful Display. I think it's pretty reasonable, although Forge is a pretty good stronghold type province for these kind of decks. It lets you dig for the attachment that you really need in these dire situations where people are on your box. Isn't that Pilgrimage on the left row province? No, that's Frostbitten Crossing. So you got the blue color right, but it is Frostbitten. Alright, so here's a Fan of Command coming out on Suko now. Suko's going to go ahead and defend with Motso. Less cards in hand for Ginawa, so he'll be able to go ahead and pull in one of these other characters. Currently sitting at a solid 8 political. Pulls in the Narishma into the conflict, so that's one additional skill for Shoot. And so again, two means of attachment control available for Shoot here. Let's see if he's able to go ahead and bump some of these cards out of Ginawa's hand. 2 Fate open for Ginawa, although with the conflict still remaining, he should be able to go ahead and claim the 2 Fate on the Air Ring. This is a Keeper of Air deck, but I believe no Keepers have been seen yet. And here's another Steward of Law being played into the conflict, okay. So we saw one Force Champ get pulled earlier. Let's see if we get a second one pulled here. Keep in mind the Fan of Command doesn't have to be used on the target that it's on. So if Shoot wants to go ahead and kill this Motso, he might want to blow up the Fan of Command first. Here's a fine Katana coming out now on the Dazzling Duelist. Looks like he's going to go for a duel to try to bow this Motso. Let's see if he remembers the Fan of Command text. And of course, the Fabled Ground's still sitting at home. If Arik needs to pull in this 1 extra strength here from the Akoma Reservist, we're going to see a pass here since Shoot is currently not breaking. Blowing up the Fan of Command would in fact put Shoot to breaking. That'll reduce Ginawa's skill by 1. Putting him in Exacxies of 5, and that'll force the hand of Arik. Okay, and so Shoot choosing to use the Tea House to bounce the Phantom Command. We do know that the True Strike Kenjutsu is still there. Although, getting bowed by True Strike Kenjutsu is definitely not the worst thing in the world, since you can use the take-up commands to go ahead and ready yourself if you get bowed. Here's Arik opting to go ahead and move the reservist into the conflict. That's is that reservist number 3? No, it's reservist number 2. Here's a fine katana now coming out on the Dazzling Duelist, and we're going to see a bow probably go out onto Tsuko. Here's Prepare for War now. Voice of Honor is online for Shoot, so if he has a second one, you might want to do it now. Yeah, there's Voice to go ahead and cancel Prepare for War. He can bow Whisperer, though. How can he bow the Whisperer? Oh, yes, right. Because it can't be stood by the take-up command. So that is a possibility here, and that would be a lot of stats. But I think most likely what we're just going to see is Tsuko get bowed. That puts Shoot to breaking. Here's In Service to My Lord now to go ahead and ready Tsuko. Although that also does mean that he is still breaking. So there's the True Strike Kenjutsu not coming out, and so I think Shoot's going to blow that up with the Mia Mystic. And Ginawa saying GG. Out of fate, out of options. And so Shoot is going to take this one. Yeah, and so really good stuff from Shoot there. I really like this Crane deck. It's very fun. It seems very fast, as we just saw, and it's obviously done Shoot some wonders throughout the course of this April Discord League. So congratulations to Chutereve for taking this one. He is your April Discord League champion. Players exchanging pleasantries afterwards. Both these guys really good sports. I've played them a good bit throughout the course of the life of this game, and they're both a pleasure to play against and with. So congratulations again to Shoot. Good try there from Arik, but came up a little bit short. But still, really impressive showing here from a unique style deck that you don't really see too often out of line. Both these decks, very unique and pretty successful in what they were aiming to do. So. From what we saw here, I think really the turning point of this game was that Noble Sacrifice that got off on the Motso, right? And so Shoot being able to protect his hand enough to set up that Noble Sacrifice with the Stay Your Hand, and also being able to cancel the Soul Beyond approach on Motso to go ahead and kill that first one, really put Arik on his back foot and just couldn't recover after that. Shoot able to apply the pressure and break some of these provinces. I think also that Highlight the Flaws is really strong on the Art of War to go ahead and prevent Arik from drawing the cards that he needed to win this game. So, or at least to stabilize, rather. And so Shoot actually wins the game without a single province flipped. So Arik definitely, on his back foot for most of the game, playing very defensively. It kind of pays off, and it's kind of scary to attack into this road too because of cards like Magistrate Station. It turns out that card is very good, and there's a reason it's on the restricted list. But attacking into it and hitting it at the wrong time when you're not able to break it is really kind of scary to do. And so you want to be careful about doing that. Attacking in here would have potentially meant that Arik would have been in a lot more trouble had he not been able to break that Magistrate Station early. With the aggression level of this deck, you definitely want those stands as much as you can. So But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. So if you guys are tuning into the Discord League for the first time, the June Discord League is about to begin. You can go ahead and sign up. Make sure that you're on the L5R Discord. Check the league announcements page. There should be a link there to another website, which fantastic website, by the way. It does a really good job of tracking your Discord League matches and your pools, and also it's a really good interface that the guys with the Discord League have developed to make sure that it's as easy to use as possible. So go ahead and sign up for the Discord League. Pack 3 is live right now, of course, so if you want to get your Pack 3 testing in, this is a good time to do it. If you guys want to go ahead and play on the hopes that the images for Pack 4 get released on Jigoku at some point in time during this month, then those cards will become legal and available once they are stable on Jigoku. So Pack, definitely sign up with the idea of Pack 4 in mind as well. Otherwise, for the rest of this, I think that's going to be it for what I have to do today with this. Congratulations again to Chutereve, good job, guys. And make sure that you tune in later on today. You're actually going to see Ginawa again today, this afternoon or / this evening sometime, as he's going to be on L5R Lounge this week with one of his other play group members from Seattle, Chaley, Top Dragon at Worlds this past year. They're going to be playing each other, so make sure you tune into L5R Lounge. I will, of course, announce whenever that's going to happen, so you guys can tune in and check it out then. Otherwise, right now, the Discord World Cup has concluded, or is in the process of concluding, and so we are right now trying to determine who is going to be the last teams to make the cut. The cut will happen in about 2 weeks or so, and we will see some more exciting World Cup action at that time. So thank you guys again for tuning in. This has been Handsome Dan, and have a good one.